Originally, I was ignoring the lies that Alanah Pearce was telling under her video, but she is stacking lies now. She has edited the pinned comment and noted what's an edit and what's original. Problem being, what she says is the original comment is not the original comment. The actual original, which I presume must have been referring to my first video about her, was unhinged. She claimed in my video that I edited 2 responses together to make them look as though they were both about Ragnarok. But I didn't edit any of them together in any way. I quoted 3 responses and said that combined with the title and other context, I thought it created the implication that you wrote on God of War Ragnarok. Now that you've unprivated the video, in fact, we can objectively see that some of your audience at the time took that inference as well. But let's jump back to her new and insane claims. She wrote, "Another YouTuber has highlighted a segment of a podcast that I removed because I said the phrase, 'I haven't written.' To me, personally, sounds like you said, 'I have written on it.'"
I was just about to say, but then I stopped myself.
I was going to
ask, but...
Which I believed I was not technically allowed to say. Immediately after saying this phrase, I very clearly scrambled to try to cover for the fact that I didn't think I was allowed to say haven't, by going, sorry, no, I technically, very awkwardly. Alright, let's hear that follow-up.
I was going to ask, but yeah, like...
Sorry,
I never really remember what's the
limits. So I have worked on it.
So, no, that's not true. These creators are trying to suggest that I actually said, "I have written." Not a full sentence / they don't even know what I was going to say after those 3 words, lol. Who the hell was saying that? Again, people think that you said this.
I was just about to say, but then I stopped myself.
I was going to
ask, but...
Even though that does not make any sense in the context of the sentence, which comes immediately after me, again, very, very clearly saying I didn't do shit, and ends in me scrambling to fix the mistake. You've used the didn't do shit phrasing in other clips. In this one you say you didn't do a ton. Does this response make no sense? Because she hasn't checked which clip people have found, and there are multiple she's hidden. Is this just her guessing which one people found? Maybe, because she edited it again while I was recording this. Here's the new story. Another YouTuber has highlighted a segment of a podcast that I removed because I said the phrase, "I haven't written on it." Again, I'm not hearing that N''T.
I was just about to say, but then I stopped myself.
I was going to
ask, but...
Sorry, I have worked on it. I'm allowed to say I have worked on the accessibility stuff, which I did. For writing, I think I'm allowed to say. I'm not allowed to say what. I can say, I wrote some, supportive content. This was removed because I was worried about my NDA, which is pretty clear considering how awkwardly I say it. Everything said in that sentence is also 100% true. Right, so you were terrified about breaking your NDA, but you only hid that part on the unlisted YouTube video and left it in on the public podcasting platforms. But luckily, I just refreshed the page and she's edited it again. I won't read the whole thing, just the change. This was removed because I was worried about my NDA, which is pretty clear considering how awkwardly I say it. I was not allowed to say haven't, which is why I scrambled to try to correct it. What? She is telling us she deleted that snippet because she's afraid someone at Sony would hear this.
I was just about to say, but then I stopped myself.
I was going to
ask, but...
And you would get clapped for saying haven't. And not even for anything else you said in that section. That is bonkers. Good thing I pressed F5 again and she's removed that part. Now it's just a generic statement of concern about the NDA. And she says she tried to scramble to be conscious of the NDA even when working through those sentences. She also added another detail. She said, "I also don't remember when I removed this clip." Lucky for her, I cannot actually tell exactly when it was removed. I know thanks to Archive that it was still in the video when it had 57,000 views though. And I find it hilarious that she's trying to tell us that, oh, she remembered it at some point in time, months and months and months and months after publishing it, randomly. And definitely didn't just remove it when she went to use a clip from it for her latest video. By the way, regardless of whether you believe her or not, it is absolutely insane to use that clip, the one that the ultra-controversial NDA violating material has been snipped out of. Simply don't put it in your video. But hold up a sec, I pressed F5 and it's been updated again. So let's make sure we're reading off the latest patch. There's a suggestion that I said, "I have written on it."
I have written on it.
Where I actually said haven't, but that clearly doesn't make any sense given the context nor even the way I say it. I disagree. I think it makes perfect sense. There's also a subtle near contradiction here. She told us that the way she was saying things was all messed up because the NDA was running through her mind. Then, she appeals to the way she says it being maybe a bit odd, as a sign she couldn't have said what we heard. Which one is it? Plus, we know she was already stumbling on her words before she said that line. Massive pauses before she says it.
So I always feel like I have to give the context. I didn't work on this game a ton. I
was just about to say, but then I stopped myself.
I was going to
ask, but
I don't understand. Why wouldn't she provide the qualifier that she didn't do a ton of work and then say what kind of work she did? Perfectly normal. I'm not hearing that contextual proof that she couldn't have said it. But let's keep going. I imagine. Always good to use your imagination. My sentence was going to be, I didn't work on the game a ton. I haven't written on it, but I did work on accessibility or something, but then I corrected it. Right, so what did you correct it to? Let's listen to the podcast.
Sorry,
I never really remember what's the
So I have
limits.
worked on it. I am allowed to say that I worked on the accessibility stuff, which I did. Like, I pitched and helped iterate some literal features of the game, some gameplay mechanics.
Okay, so there's the, I have worked on it. I have done accessibility stuff. None of that's a point of contention here. What's next?
For writing, I think I'm allowed to say...
There's at least I'm not allowed
to say what.
I worked on accessibility. Here's what I did. For writing, I'm not allowed to say what. Stinks to me of implication. And if that's meant to correct your supposed earlier statement saying, I haven't written on it, what does that mean you're saying here? You say in your pinned comment, everything said in that sentence is also 100% true. Okay, maybe. I don't care. That's not the problem. The problem is that you've been saying this.
I never even claimed to be a writer on God of War Ragnarok. Anyway, I never implied it.
I believe Alanah when she says she was worried about her NDA. Just listen to the voice wobble.
I can say, I wrote some supportive content, and I'm not allowed to say what.
However, I do not believe she was worried that she'd get in trouble for saying she didn't write on it. I think she was freaking out because she said too much, and the supportive content comment was a panicked ripcord. Essentially, this editing frenzy is her stepping on rakes over and over again. Here's the trap she's in. The thing about this that myself and others are accusing her of bullshitting about is her saying that she never said or even implied that she wrote on Ragnarok. Now, if she said, I have written on it, she's done. So she has to say she didn't say that. She has to say, she said, I haven't written on it. But with that comes another issue. She now has to explain why, having said, I haven't written on it, she'd say,
for writing, I think I'm allowed to say...
There's at least I'm not allowed
to say what.
And she has to explain why she had to delete that section to comply with her NDA without saying it's because she said she wrote on God of War. And all of her explanations so far mean she's done. This is her at the very least implying that she wrote on Ragnarok, especially if it's a correction to her having said she didn't. So GG's, idiot. Why don't you try retelling your story a few more times? I'm sure you'll crack it. You are a professional writer after all. By the way, I think the thing I'm truly offended by is her claim that people are pretending to hear her say, I have written on it, instead of I haven't written on it. It is genuinely what I hear, and I don't think any context means you couldn't have said it.
I have written on it.